Artists are also they engage now. Earlier we had this impression of a artist being a recluse, always painting, and they're not good at marketing. Now it's a different ball game. I'm seeing all our artists are incredibly dynamic, they're active, and they're very much engaged with the public. They don't need an external agent or a PR.
Yeah.
They promote their artworks. And also in digital promotion, they create their own videos. The technology has also given the opportunity to artists to engage in different kinds of art.
What about the blank canvas that got sold?
Huh?
The blank.
That's what I was saying. There is this category in the market, which I won't call gimmicks or something, but I would say they do kind of create an attention. You know what I mean?
No, it really resonates with me because this makes me think that I just need to buy 5 empty canvases. Indian artists find it way more difficult to sell their art and the same kind of art, for the same price as an international artist. Hi everyone, today I have Attreyee Roy Chowdhury with me. If you're someone who loves luxury, yachts and amazing summer villas, she's the person you need to get in touch with. So hi Attreyee, thank you so much for coming on my podcast.
Hi Jagriti, thank you for inviting me and I'm delighted to be here.
So Attreyee, tell me, why do you do what you do?
Because I'm passionate about it. Because I'm passionate about luxury and luxury, art, all the finer things of life, culture, everything, literature, music. But generally, I've been very passionate about luxury. And first it started, with my work in the art world, which I started many years back. And I was working in an art auction house in India. And then slowly, post-pandemic, I gravitated towards luxury when I got this present role. So basically, we're involved in the promotion, in the marketing of luxury jets, yachts, art, beauty and fashion products, and also, we're also involved in the metaverse, which is a little bit of the business side, investments, luxury investments. So it's been absolutely fabulous, and in terms of art, we are promoting the trajectory of incredible artists globally. And we are also in touch with collectors globally, helping them to find buyers to sell their artwork. So that is the art side of it. But there are other things we do, definitely.
So this is so unique, right? I've not met anybody else. I'm sure there are many, and there are like many agencies and houses like Sotheby's and Christie's that are into this, but I've not met anybody who do this for a living. How did you get into this profession?
You know what? It wasn't really planned. During the pandemic, my present boss got in touch with me online. And he said that for him, luxury was a passion. He's a luxury connoisseur and he was working, he's a Finnish gentleman, Mr. Henrik Henningsen. And he was, he's been in the field of luxury at that time for 10, 15 years. And he said that he's starting this global company and he wanted me to be the representative for India. And he said that he'll be director of HBL Art because I hadn't been a director. And I said, can I do it? And this is what I feel, Jagriti. Sometimes other people see something in you that maybe you don't recognize yourself, because sometimes we don't know our potential very well, our capacity. So he said, you'll be the director of HBL Art, and we're going to be promoting incredibly, talented artists from all over the world, including India.
Yeah.
And I just got into it basically, and post-pandemic, so I had a bit of breathing time, man.
So is there a difference between somebody who goes for a branded bag versus somebody who goes for a luxury quiet brand where the brand name is not shouting from the tag?
Yeah. No, actually, you know what? I think when people, what I've noticed is in some parts of the world, sometimes buyers, when they're first engaging with luxury products and services, they may be concerned with the brand. So if it's a Louis Vuitton bag, I want to, this is the bag I got. I want to tell everybody that I've got it. So, but once they're engaged and purchased and, invested in luxury over a long period of time, they don't care. It's more the experience. It's something which resonates with them. That's what I was talking about in art and luxury. I want this handbag because it resonates with me. It connects with me. It brings back certain memories. So when you engage with a luxury product or service personally, I think it has an emotional resonance. Yeah. And that is the beauty of it.
Right. But India being, an upcoming market, people have just started to probably get more disposable income to invest in brands. Is it true to say that, in India, a bigger market will go to branded products?
And definitely, because in India, I think we are still very much concerned with the name tags, certain luxury brands. And, we're still a new market in terms of luxury.
Yeah.
So certain markets, yes, definitely it does matter. In India, I've noticed that. But in certain parts of Europe, it's about quiet luxury.
Yeah.
It's about the luxury experience. It's about how do I feel when I buy that, when I hold that bag, or when I'm going on that luxury holiday. So it's just that emotional experience, and they're very much into, meditative, quiet feel. Is it giving me joy, peace, calm, and serenity? So I think that's a bit of a trait of a mature market, Javrit. You know what I mean? Like something which makes me feel good, makes me feel very powerful, empowered, but in a very serene, quiet way.
Yeah.
But I think at the first stage, when you invest in luxury, it's about the name tag, or maybe, like I've got this bag and I want to wear it to a nice get together or a party. So I think it depends, once you've invested in luxury, you've been buying luxury products for a long time, then you look for different things, the experience. Is it making me feel good? Does it resonate with me? Does it connect with me? All these things.
Sure. Being in this industry for so long, have you noticed a shift pre-COVID and post-COVID in the way people look at luxury globally?
Post-COVID, it's more, as you were talking about, quiet luxury and luxury experiences. Because COVID has given us a lot of time, Jagrati, to do a lot of, in our busy lives.
Introspection,
reevaluating our lives, including myself. And you just realize what is important to you. And you want experiences, you want something which makes you feel good, which makes you feel empowered. And that has definitely seeped in all fields, including luxury. Something which makes you feel good. It's not just because this might, people might talk about this if I buy this or that. No, people want to invest because something which is, and also people want to invest in long term. Something which will last, an experience which will have an impact on them. Okay. So it's not just, it's kind of changed their taste, I would say, to a certain extent.
Okay.
But like a lot of luxury lovers are going for experiences now.
Is it the same? Is it also the same for India?
Definitely in India also. I think COVID kind of, because of the reflection and because also it depends on your age, I think. At what stage in life you're in. Like suppose you're in midlife or something and you're already reevaluating your life. And I think COVID kind of precipitated and facilitated the entire process. It's kind of changed a lot of industries in terms of, hybrid working. It's also opened up a lot of things,
Sure.
So even in luxury and all, people are realizing that, it's about experiences. Something which is, and it's less to do with the brand that's, even luxury creators, they're creating something bespoke, unique, rare, something which is special and also global.
Yeah.
Which will appeal, like something, an Indian luxury brand. They want to appeal to Indians, but globally also.
Yeah, true. That's it. Let's come to paintings. How is the market for paintings globally?
Globally, it usually depends, like the masters and all, they're doing well all the time. And you hear about the skyrocketing prices, from all the auction houses.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that is, like, especially for art lovers and all, when they get into the field or young collectors, they get a bit intimidated. It's just like, people are paying so much, for a Gaitonde or for a Rembrandt or something. And I might not have the disposable income or the wealth to invest in that. But artists, they're also doing well. And I think the greatest thing about the artists now, like what we're realizing, from the incredible artists we are representing in India and globally, is that, they are the storytellers of their lives. Big and with
social media.
With social media, with technology, it's been a catalyst and game changers. They control their narrative.
Yeah.
They are no longer dependent on an external PR or media to tell their story.
Yeah.
They promote their journey. They share their vision. They share their thoughts. And they sell their artworks. Nowadays, the artists, Jagriti, they're not dependent on representation by a gallery.
Yeah.
By a physical gallery, I'm talking about. True. Because they can create their own narrative. And they decide, they're independent, they want to participate in these art fairs, they want to participate in these exhibitions. Online, there are other sale platforms where they are represented. There are so many.
Of course.
And so it's fabulous, absolutely, for them. There's so many avenues.
Tell me if it is true. When I started painting a few years back, and I told my brother, my younger brother, that, I think I want to sell my painting. He's like, Didi, do you know, like most of the artists, they sell their painting after they are dead. So all the best. Is it true?
That was earlier because that was we have so many opportunities. Not at all true now. It's I think artists are also very they engage now. Earlier we had this we had this impression of a artist being a recluse, always painting, and they're not good at marketing.
True.
Now it's a different ball game. I'm seeing all our artists are incredibly dynamic. They're active and they're very much engaged with the public.
Yeah.
They are the what do you call? They don't need an external agent or a PR.
Yeah.
They promote their artworks, and also in digital promotion, they create their own videos.
Yeah.
So the best thing, Javriti, is when I share these videos, a potential buyer or a viewer can see the process
And connect with the artist. Yeah.
They can engage with the journey, the process of creating the art, because you see him or her painting, the beautiful videos of, of the process of art creation with music in the background.
Yeah.
So they know how to present themselves. That is also very true.
But tell me, I've been following, the auction houses for a while now. And it's so funny. How can a painting with a banana on a canvas sell, and how can a blank canvas sell for millions? And who are buying these, and how does it work?
Well, the painting which you referred to right now, who's the buyer? He's the crypto entrepreneur.
Okay.
So you have a lot of these, I won't say new age buyers, but they are interested in, promoting something which is a bit maybe edgy, something different, something different. And as you said, the price, which it's sold for. Yeah. So there are a lot of, the art world is also now you have NFTs. So it's a very different world now. So you have a lot of crypto entrepreneurs and younger entrepreneurs who are willing to engage with, different types of art, basically, not just traditional paintings, but, art motivated by technology and all that.
But what's your outlook on these sales, honestly?
No, my outlook is, to each their own, basically. But, I've noticed a lot of the crypto entrepreneurs, they do engage in works which are a bit unique, edgy. They are generally from I've just been noticing. Yeah. I love traditional artworks, because I think that's also your upbringing. That's what you grew up with. You grew up seeing paintings in all these museums and all. And for me, that's, but I like, the technology has also given the opportunity to artists to engage in different kinds of art. Like one of our artists, she's an incredible photo artist. Like, she takes photographs. She's an amazing photographer. And then she kind of creates an artwork based on the photograph on the computer. Okay, it's amazing. And it took her a long time to be accepted because, most buyers are still very traditional. Okay, so they wanted painting, acrylic, oil canvas, and so she'd explain the entire process. But now, she's been participating a lot in a lot of art festivals, art fairs. So it's great. Technology has kind of paved the way for different kinds of artists to emerge, and which is great, because that's the future. Right. You respect the past, but that's also the future. And our artworks are fabulous.
Yeah. No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, are there any key factors that determine the value of an art piece?
Now, for an emerging artist, let's say, it depends also, obviously, their trajectory. How many artworks have they sold? The pricing of the artworks, the participation in exhibitions. That is very important. Biennale exhibition, because they have to be active. And also the sale, definitely, and so all that depends. All that
definitely
makes a difference.
No, but if somebody has to understand today, how do I value my art or the art that I'm going to buy? Okay. What are the key factors?
Are you talking about an artist from an artist perspective? Art. For an artist, it depends on the previous, the pricing of the previous works.
Okay.
Their history, how many years they've been active, basically. So that's how the market decides. So their history is very important. And even for a buyer. Suppose, Jagriti, I like a particular artist, okay?
Yeah.
So, first of all, what I would do, I always encourage young collectors who are getting into the art, not seasoned. So I said, go, if possible, go to a gallery. Check out the artist, check out the exhibition opening, engage with the artist, go for a studio visit if possible. And then if you like the artworks or something, and see the pricing. And it depends. Are you engaging as as a buyer in terms of that, as a collector who has no intention of reselling the artwork, or are you going to be an investor? So that's a different thing. If you have you have an emotional connection with the artwork, it resonates with you, it connects with your soul, then you're never going to sell it. You're going to leave it to the next generation. It's a legacy.
Right.
That's different completely. But an investor, then, okay, I want to see the price of the artworks. Okay, the artist price, this artwork was priced 5 years back at so-and-so, and now it's been resold at so. So you can see, how the prices are increasing, and accordingly you decide the investment. So you have to check out the sale history completely. Auction sales, if there is, gallery sales. So you have to do a bit of research. I don't, of course, engage with the artists. And it's much easier to engage nowadays with websites, with meetings. And also artists also engage directly with buyers.
Okay. So do you think that auction houses have, like Sotheby's or Christie's, they have any role to play in, valuing the artwork or giving it a higher value in the market because they are associated with art?
And they do create the market. It's very important. If what happens, suppose you see this the one we were talking about, an artwork, specific artwork, if an auction house really promotes a specific artwork by an artist, but like usually what happens, let's say a collector wants to sell a specific artwork by an artist and gives it to an auction house for say. And if they have like 10 bidders for that artwork, so obviously if they're crazily bidding, then it'll sell at a higher price. You know what I mean? True. But definitely it has an impact on the market. This artwork sold for so and so. So it creates a record up.
So if I'm a new artist and I know somebody, my uncle's, part of Sotheby's, and he decides to put my artwork for sale.
But for new artists, first you have to go through the gallery route. It takes history. You need auction houses. It takes time.
Okay.
Like all the progressives and all, we talk about Souzas and Razas but my God, they had 50, 60 years that they were alive. Okay, so you need history. You need before the auction market considers you. I mean, especially a few years back. For emerging artists, it'll take you time. It depends on your journey and everything. But initially, we always, like when I was working in an auction house earlier, we used to have a lot of artists calling, and I told them, let's get in touch with the galleries. And that time online, what I mean, it wasn't that active. So I said, get in touch with a gallery. Make sure you get represented by a gallery who will promote you. Because then through galleries, through exhibitions, you build up your journey, you build up your transit. And then, when you reach the zenith, that's when the auction houses. And it's unfortunate, especially from a lot of artists, we see their work selling with skyrocketing prices, but they're no longer with us. Many of them, takes time. History. You need history, you need...
I think you need to
a lot of experience,
commitment to art as a medium of expression. It needs to be your living, and that you have only so many years. And
definitely,
I think you need to prove that commitment.
You need a lot of time. You need time. You need to have you need to create an entire trajectory. You need to sell. You need to participate in a lot of exhibitions in India and globally.
Yeah.
So you need. I think you need to really spend years perfecting your art. So the auction houses come much later in time, but they have a tremendous impact in terms of the pricing, tremendous, especially for a lot of bidders.
Yeah, true.
Like this artwork which you're talking about, this one. I mean, why do we hear about it so much? Because there is a buyer who decided it was worth it, and they were willing to pay for it, that much,
Yeah, but also the fact
they create the market at the end of it.
They just put it up. Yeah. The fact that they decided to put it up, I'm sure they knew that there might be, but it was nothing, right? It was just blank canvas with a banana taped on it.
But then they had, certain interested buyers who bid for it, Do you think
it could be staged? I still fail to really believe it completely.
Because it's... No, it wasn't. It was, there is a buyer. And as I said, there are certain buyers who do who are more weird towards maybe creating an impact. Maybe
what about the blank canvas that got sold?
Huh?
The blank.
That's what I'm saying. There is this category in the market, which I won't call gimmicks or something, but I would say they do kind of create an attention. You know what I mean? And there are there are some young entrepreneurs who are, I won't say they're proving a point, but there is in their journey, they like to buy something different, unusual, where they are also a part of history in the making in a certain sense. You know what I mean? But I hear that. But it might not resonate with you that.
No, it really resonates with me because this makes me think that I just need to buy 5 empty canvases and, put it out.
No, like it should. When you talk about Andy Warhol or something, that's a different thing. Yeah. That is different. That is a. But no, it shouldn't do that. But I think just.
If it was done for a marketing point of view to prove a point that, art can be anything, I get it. But if it was a real time, the buyer didn't know the seller didn't know the buyer, but they decided to, when the seller decided to put it out.
Yeah.
And these are big auction houses, right? These are not individual sellers selling. And the buyer says that, oh, I see the art in this blank canvas and I'm going to buy it. So I think I have a problem with that, like you're really making art as a state of mind in that moment. Because this buyer who spent $1 million on the blank canvas could have just bought it from a store and seen the same art that he saw.
So you feel it's staged or something in a certain way?
I hope it is staged. I hope they're not real people buying blank canvases for millions, So it really makes me think that what is the idea of art, that people have.
You know what, Jagriti? This is auctions are in a way, they're very glamorous. It's also, it's a performance. Live auctions. Live, not on. It's a performance. It's very exciting. I mean, to this day, I prefer live auctions to online. Because online is boring, but the energy is the same, So, I mean, I love it. I love the energy. I love, when people are 10 bidders or whoever, going crazy over a particular.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a performance. It's an event of a lifetime.
Yeah.
It's this grand event. So it creates history.
Yeah.
So all these factors are there.
Okay.
I mean, of course, there's a particular artwork involved.
Yeah.
So there is a theatrical experience.
Okay. So can you, we've all probably seen how auction houses work online.
Yeah.
Could you take us behind the scene? Like what happens? How do you get invited? How do you go? How do you bid? How do you write a check?
Oh, auction houses. Right now, we are not an auction house, but in HBL, but my previous job, before the auction house and all, you kind of select the artworks which you're going to sell in a particular auction.
Okay.
So there's a lot of hard work involved in terms of, the auction house kind of, there's a photography of the artworks. Because they have to be really good high resolution images which goes into the catalog, So, then you decide, basically select the artworks, ensure the pricing. So before the collectors are always in touch with auction houses, you want to sell this work. So depending on the theme of the auction, it's going to be niche-oriented, abstracts, maybe woman artists. I'm just giving some. So accordingly, you select key artworks. Let's say you select, 30, 40 works, which are going to be sold at this particular. Then you fix the pricing and all that. You have to be in touch with the collectors, the sellers, because they have to be okay about it, fixing the price range and all that. And then... So while the catalog and all is being prepared, you're also doing the invites for, to invite the collectors. It is a live auction, live or, so you got to invite them wherever you're having it, at a hotel, at a lovely venue or whatever. So before that, you invite, potential buyers, guests for a preview.
Okay.
A few days before the auction.
Okay.
And a preview, what I've noticed that a lot of buyers do come, and many buyers do not come because they send their representatives or something that because they don't want to be under the radar. You know what I mean? So preview is also not just for buyers. It's also a lot of guests who come there. A lot of people make it to the newspapers. It's a very glamorous event. So you see the artworks on display. So you can have a look at the artworks which are going to be sold at the auction maybe 7 days from there.
Okay.
So there is a preview which is an open event basically. So you have a lot of guests and it's a very lovely evening where you're meeting other people and maybe you might have a talk or something on the particular forthcoming auction on a particular artist. It depends, what you want to do. And after that, post the preview, you get a lot of queries, informal queries and all, and they have to fill up these forms and all, where I want, where they have a query and some of them want to bid. So you have to fill up those bidding forms. Let us know before,
okay.
And so there's a lot of work involved. And let's say this is the opening preview. The preview is there. 10 days of private previews, where at the same venue, usually you have other guests. You invite guests. Ma'am, we're having private previews from 11 to 8. You want to have you aggressively promote the artwork. It's a lot of work.
Okay.
And, and you might have a lot of buyers showing interest. So they all fill up the form. They say, we're all interested. Finally, who gets it? It depends on the auction.
Yeah.
So, for 6, 7 days or 10 days, whatever, here private previews, you have guests flying in all over the country, whoever's visiting, because you do promote the artworks, basically. You also dispatch the catalogs, because the catalog is there for anyone who's interested. Any potential buyer, you give the catalog. So, you also have a mailing of the catalogs all over India and globally and everything. So there's a lot of work going on at the same time. Basically, you're inviting and you're also getting calls continuously. You're meeting potential buyers. They're calling you. I'm interested in so and so. It's it's a very engaging process.
And then on the day of the auction, the live relatives usually, do the buyers themselves go, or usually it's the
there are some buyers who do telephone bidding.
Yeah.
So we have our representatives to talk to them. Through the auction, guide them through the auction while the auctioneering is promoted. So that's a very exciting process. Like suppose, you have a client, let's say in the US, and we've got our representative. We're with one of my colleagues, and then they're like guiding them through the auction. So there's a lot of organization involved, basically. Or like in terms of the, members of the auction house, you have to sort out everything. Okay. So obviously on the day of the auction, again, the buyers, the guests, and there are some who undecided. They haven't decided. They are interested in this artwork, but maybe not. Like people are. And at the last minute, they'll decide. So it's...
so once somebody bids and wins the...
absentee bids, people have absentee bids, people have telephone bids, and of course physical bidding, live bidding, where they just go there and we give them the paddle and they bid. And then last minute also, they might decide,
Okay, so for example, somebody who wins the bid, what happens then?
After they win the bid, of course, they are the official...
does the auction house, block the amount in their account, or how do you guarantee?
Then they make the payment. They have a specific period of time that they have to make the payment. So, of course, the artwork it's theirs, and they have to make the payment, and then only they can collect the art.
Okay, if they don't make the payment, does it happen? Does it happen?
If you don't make the payment, like the artwork is, we're going to sell it, which is, then we have, one thing is that unsold works at the auction are also sold for later at private sale.
Okay.
Because in auction, the prices are, obviously the works sell for much more, especially if you have a lot of bidder. But obviously, you never sell all the works.
Okay.
So the works which have not been sold, we have, private sales.
Okay.
So obviously, it's a shame, if a person buys and then doesn't pay, then of course the artwork will be sold to a private bidder.
Yeah. So a lot of countries, they also offer citizenship. If you invest in art in that country, which are some of these countries, and how does this...
More than art is real estate, I would say.
Okay.
Yes, because, like for my company, we're promoting a lot of luxury real estate globally, and the citizenship factor is there. Like in the US, if you, the EB-5 till now, it's been changing because of the President Trump changing it, which is if you invest 800,000 in luxury property in the US, then, you will get a residency visa. And of course, in a luxury property, and you might be also required to create some jobs from Americans and all. Then, you can bring your entire family from India. I mean, if you're an Indian, that is. And so you do get residency. Immigration, so what we are doing is we're giving immigration and real estate investment.
So how does it happen? Like, for example, an Indian, they decide to buy a property in Dubai. Like, what is the amount that they need to invest? How soon do they get their citizenship or the golden visa? How long is it valid for?
It's like, when they invest initially, we are obviously in charge with certain, collaborating with real estate companies and all. So basically, they have to make the payments. Right? Suppose the property will be ready, let's say in 2028. So they make these percentage payments, which in the UAE you can do that,
Okay.
And then in collaboration with the luxury real estate company, we guide them through the entire process, including facilitating the procurement of the visa and all that. Okay. But first, the payment and all, also, they don't have to make immediate payments. There is a process, 10% now, 10% later. And they're also most welcome to go and see the property. If they're traveling, then definitely that can be arranged. Of course, most people want to see the property. You like it, but you want to like feel it. Yes, you want to live it there. So we guide them through the entire process, basically, everything. And the company, the real estate company whose property we are investing, they are very much involved in that.
Okay. No, so does it also apply to buying yachts or paintings or antiques?
In what way?
Pay for immigration?
No. The real estate investment option is right now we are promoting. For art, we are not.
No, not you, but in general, would you?
No.
No, because it's movable. Could that be?
It is, and also because people generally I've noticed that luxury connoisseurs or buyers, they like to have homes in different places and all that. And usually, like somewhat like we do. What do you call it? Golden visa in Cyprus, in Greece, and that's it. And one thing, what people have realized, I think the travelers all over the world, it's not a very high investment. Like many people in India, about the prices of homes in Bombay.
Yeah.
And when they hear about, stunning properties in Spain and the golden visa, Portugal, which was valid till last year, or in Cyprus, a minimum investment of 250,000 euros, and immigration option. It is not like a very intimidating amount for some, and you get a beautiful home. So definitely, with real estate, it works.
Okay, definitely. Like, can you explain? Who are these people who take up these golden visas? Like, are these people who are looking for a new country to settle in because they don't see enough opportunity in India, or are these people who are well settled in India? And they want to have a second home, but in that case, I don't know why would they go for a golden visa then?
No, they want a second code because that's the only option.
So who are these people who are choosing this?
They are not immigrants. They just want a second home. Okay. And like suppose that they are very familiar with another country. Suppose they've been traveling to Spain very often, and they love Spain. Yeah. They love the country. So they just say, hey, I don't mind that because I travel to Europe so often.
Yeah.
And also with the golden visa, they get access to Europe. So there, and I would love to have a home.
But they change their citizenship then?
No. They don't change the citizen. They get basically residency. Okay. So it's like, and maybe, they want their children, they want to settle down for some time. They want their children to go and live in Spain later. They might have these dreams, but it's definitely, they're not immigrants like that. Like they're not going to leave their home country and settle there. They go there and they stay there for some time. Okay. And they just love the country. Sometimes it's just love for the country. Sometimes it's because of, it's more comfortable, more accessible. And some of them are beautiful. Like in Greece and all is nature. It's such a beautiful country.
Yeah.
That's why they go there. And they don't want to go and stay in hotels. And they've been visiting Greece. I know somebody who told me that I've been visiting Greece for 10 years.
Okay.
And now I just don't mind having a home there because I love the country. And, there are a lot of, what I've realized among luxury connoisseurs, they're very emotional. They have a lot of emotional investments.
Okay.
So it's just love. I buy this artwork because it connects with me, it resonates with my soul. So, even a home, I said, I just love it. This is the home I want. This is the country I want to settle in. The reasons are very emotional and very personal. Or, for the US, it's also like, I want my children to study in the US later. So this is a nice investment for the time being in a long term.
Interesting.
There's a lot of, from India, there are lots.
Do you also come across people who make strategic investment just to move wealth from one country to another through the way of investing in art?
Of course, they are always there, but there is also a lot of emotional reasons, I feel. Emotional as in personal family reasons and all that. But business also. I mean, one of the strategic things you can talk about is like people who travel a lot to Europe and to the US on business, the continuously traveling, that is one of the reasons. Definitely. That is the biggest reason.
Okay.
A lot of businessmen, continuously who have invested in businesses in the US and all, they would like to have a home there because they have invested in them.
Yeah. No, real estate, I completely understand. Like, for example, for, somebody who wants to start investing in art as an investor, not a collector, where can they start?
As I said, start with an artist. It's better not to think in terms of an investment perspective. Like I'm looking for, I've had queries and questions, potential. And wanted to, I want to invest in exactly what you do. Yeah. I want to invest in an artist, and where I could just make a lot of money for that. Once we sell the artwork in 5 years. I said, what about connecting with the works of the artist, the journey of the artist. What kind of works do you like? It didn't matter. Because for them, it was just like, stocks and shares, that kind. So then I guided him. I said, it's always better if you resonate with the journey of the artist. If you know a little bit, gather knowledge about engage with the artist, go for their shows. Definitely. And of course, see the investment history, see the sale history, but not just, it's not a very impersonal product.
Yeah, true.
There is, so I always encourage, but you have people like that. I just want to have this much money and I'm going to park this one, and 5 years I want to sell it. You have people like that, and what would you recommend? Who's selling like hotcakes and things like that. So I always kind of tend to guide them. I said, because, I think then once you have a love for art, then you'll be a lifelong investor and you won't always buy with the purpose of selling.
Yeah. No. The other day I went for an art exhibition here in Bombay. It was a big one. And we saw a MFSN painting. It was huge. And then, we loved it and we wanted to know, who did it belong to? And then we asked the guy who was there and he was like, who owns it currently? And he's like, oh, he's an investor. So, are there people who also invest in, such big artists and then resell it?
Yeah. There are a lot of investors in art. And definitely. But usually it's a combination of they love art and they invest it. So it's not that...
business transaction.
No. Okay. And then actually the word investor has been used for everything.
Yeah.
Like real estate investor. They're also investors when they're buying real estate. Art investors. But actually they love art also, Okay. But yeah, I mean, in the sense that they want to invest in art, in real estate, and other... So they are called investors.
Understood.
Different modes of luxury they want to invest in. But I think they definitely have a love for it.
Okay. Next question is like, what are some common mistakes that collectors or investors can make?
Okay, while we were just talking about collectors, investors in terms of art, not just investing because, this seems to be a very lucrative market. Just don't go by that. If you love something, I think that makes a difference. And learn about the product.
Okay.
Learn about the products. Check out the history. Like even in yachts and all, like if you have, if it's not a part of your... you want to buy a yacht. Like, I know somebody who buys yachts a lot because they've been... The first yacht their father bought when he was 10 years old. So there's an entire history. They grew up with it. And so that is different. So I always feel that it's better to do research, know about what you want to buy.
Okay.
And have a love for it, I think. Not just invest to make money or to,
Yeah.
So definitely if you're passionate about art, you are passionate about yours, then it's different.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any specific platforms for collecting artwork that you would recommend, our audience to go and start looking?
In terms of online or you're talking about?
Both.
Platforms, I would say, definitely, as I've said, go to the art galleries and all, go to exhibitions in your city, globally if you can. Art fairs, if possible, art festivals. These are physical, go there. If there's an art festival in your city, if there's an art fair in your city. And if you're going to global art fairs, if you're going to, in Art Basel or, you're going to the Venice Biennale, why not, Fries in London? Those are the greatest global art fairs. And also online, you have a lot of online sales platforms. So you can find art there. We are also, my HBL art, of course, I mentioned him because I'm with HBL. But, so there are different platforms now. Okay. So check out auction houses. See actually what resonates with you. Like suppose if I'm looking for the works of women artists and I want to see, what are the relevant auctions? Which galleries all over the world, let's say. Suppose, the MoMA is having an exhibition of the works of women artists. Have a look. Some galleries having a sale of the works of, of nature or something. Check it out. Are they available for sale? So, and also if you're in touch with buyers or collectors, in the sense in your city or globally, ask them if they want to sell. Because we know we are in touch with a lot of collectors. And they're always getting in touch with us. I have this, let's say, a Picasso which I want to sell. Can you, if you know about buying?
Yeah.
Because it's this is the beauty about being a part of the art world today. It's so global.
Yeah.
Somebody in Switzerland is looking for a buyer for their, I don't know, a Dali or a Picasso.
Yeah.
And they're open to buyers globally.
Amazing. Are there any resources, books, or, online courses or anything else for somebody who's interested to learn more about buying and selling of art?
Definitely. I know a lot of my connections have studied, been through Sotheby's and all because they have education. That's a formal art education.
Yeah, sure. What is it?
And so you go there and they have these certification courses and they have, you can learn about art. But that is a business side of art also.
Yeah.
But also, if you want a background in art history, I didn't have it. I did other subjects. But I think it does help. But you have to be very sure about it.
Yeah.
That, this is what I want to do. I wanted to get into the auction world. I want to get into the work for a gallery.
Yeah.
Then you do art history.
Yeah. Could you help us list a few of these resources, courses that people can look into?
I think, do a master's in art history or something. All the institutions, I know that some of the Porto in UK, most of the good ones, but they all have brilliant courses like in Cambridge and all. Like I did a paper on art when I was doing modern and medieval languages. So most of English literature also, when you do in Oxbridge or whatever, they have a paper on art also. And many auction house professionals discovered art through their humanities. I think a degree, yes. Now I came wrong. A degree in the humanities helps.
Okay.
A
degree in humanities connected to understanding the industry of art?
Just artists, a field of art, definitely, because humanities is all about, if you're doing, I feel that you also have a worldview which is very special. It's if you've done literature, if you've studied formal literature, if you've done art, it does help. I do feel that.
I do understand where you're coming from, because then you understand the culture, you understand the mindset of different people from different backgrounds. And then you can look at the art and then probably connect it to the background of that person.
And there is a resonance, I always feel. When you do the humanities, I do feel. But it might not directly teach you about the business of art and the buying and selling, but it teaches you about artists, about their journeys.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. When you're promoting an artwork, okay, like one of the things I realized was I had no clue. Okay. In my initial days. And so somebody asks you, when a buyer comes and asks you, you should know about the journey of the artist. You should know about the motivations of the artist. Why did he or whatever, why did they become a painter? What motivated them? Where did they study? École de Beaux-Arts, which art school? Did they go to JJ? And so it always helps to know about the journey of the artist, know about the history. So I think a degree in humanities, in literature, in art, it definitely helps. Everyone can, the practicality, the business of selling. But to sell, an art buyer also wants to know about the journey. So there is an intellectual component. So that helps. A degree. So just I'm interested in buying the specific artwork. Now tell me about the artist. Which period, which period of his life did he paint this and all that. So
a lot of artists, they come from a place of pain. Correct me if I'm wrong, when they create their art.
Yeah.
In the olden times as well as today, I feel.
Van Gogh and all your...
Yeah. And, and as a buyer, then I see, or personally, if I have to understand that, this is what they went through, and that's how the artist is, probably I wouldn't buy it. So why do people buy paintings or artwork, from people who have created it through the process of pain?
Because, many artists who've had a very difficult journey, let's say, they have the trauma, the pain which they've undergone, it's been manifested into their art, okay? So many of them have converted the pain into resilience, into beauty. Okay, the pain, the hurt, all the issues they faced. It's manifesting into a work of art, into something creative, something beautiful. So for a buyer, I would say, sometimes I would invest because, this is what I was talking. About it brings tears to your eyes because you know about the struggles of the artist, about what what they went through. And you can see it being manifested on the canvas, basically, their entire journey, the pain being illuminated, but in a very beautiful way, baby, But it resonates. Maybe it triggers something in you. Maybe it resonates with you. It depends on the human being. So that's what I'm saying. There's such a human aspect to art in terms of the buyers. Emotional resonance I was talking about, Jagriti. Like, this person has gone through a lot of mental health issues or something. And maybe during your life, you faced issues with mental health or depression or something. And you see something reflected on the canvas, a specific canvas.
So you connect with it.
It triggers memories, you resonate, you identify. And there is it depends on you if you just want a work of beauty, But this is something like which is resonating with your own individual journey, and there is something in common between your journey and the artist's journey, And then it's saying the emotion kit. I'm a very emotional buyer for everything. It has to connect with me,
So, yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah.
And, very different. No, but even for friends and all, you connect a little bit more. That doesn't make them better or worse. Yeah, certain people you connect.
I understand. So you think the same is for art as well?
For art especially, I feel, is because there is a lot of... there are emotion, especially for the emotional buyers. Maybe not for investors. You know what I mean? Like,
I understand, but then tell me why? If it only had to do with connection, Indian artists find it way more difficult to sell their art and the same kind of art, for the same price as an international artist.
Okay, as I was saying, like I was mentioning, let's say an international artist, an artist in Europe, has had a certain amount of experience, has been active for a certain period of time. Let's assume that he or she, they are selling their artwork for 20,000, whatever year. And we have an equally incredibly talented Indian artist who's also been active for the same number of years, and they do deserve to sell it for their artwork in the range, 20,000. But Jagriti, as I mentioned, it's not the same because the Indian artist might just price their artwork at 9,000 or 10,000. That is because they are dependent on a domestic market, basically. They right now. So the domestic market is not ready to pay 20,000 for their artwork. And they, as a result, because many a time I always encourage Indian artists, I said, increase the price. You don't deserve it. Artists in Europe, they have this, they're selling their artwork for 20,000, 25,000, and you do deserve it, especially if you're creating an international market. But they said, then Attreyee, I'll lose my domestic market because obviously, and I can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
And so your local market, which is your market, has to be ready to pay the price also. So you have to be very, very mindful of the fact. Like, if my regular patrons, if they don't want to pay, then I can't increase the price. And you also can't have differential pricing and all, right? So
yeah, true.
That won't work.
Now, do you have any message for, people, youngsters, there is a country, majority of us are young here. If they have to look at art a certain way, how can they approach art? Okay. How can they collect, buy, become artists? How to look at art?
Oh, that's one of my favorite questions. First of all, don't be intimidated by art. I think that's one of my biggest things, because I used to be very intimidated. I would hear about all these skyrocketing auction prices, and I'm like, what is art? Because initially, if you don't understand, it's okay. First time you see an artwork, it's okay. And secondly, art is, though we are talking about art as luxury, it's not an elitist world. It's very democratic. All of us, even if you don't have artworks in your home, all of us can go to the museums and the galleries. Most of them are free in your city. You can always go there. And nowadays, the museums are also very, very attractive. When I was younger, I used to find museums a bit boring and all, but now they're very engaging to children. That is like when a child, a 10-year-old goes into a museum at CSMB, it's beautiful the way they display. Yeah. So art is very democratic. It is for everyone. You can view stunning artworks at the museums, galleries, and with technology, you can have a virtual tour of all the museums globally.
Yeah,
So you don't have to be a buyer. You don't have to have wealth, what I say, to be an art lover. Maybe you might buy later, but you should not be intimidated by the world. And secondly, also for galleries and, for galleries, all galleries, I feel, should make art very approachable.
Yeah.
And something which is very relatable. Like when you enter a gallery, I remember once I entered a gallery and I didn't understand anything. They introduced an artist and I didn't get it because it was my introduction to the world. And I said, what are they talking about? You should, when you introduce the artist, you make him sound relatable. Somebody, you're a lay person. Assume that every visitor to the gallery is a newcomer.
Yeah.
Don't assume that every visitor to the gallery is an art lover who knows about art. Let's just assume that they're just getting introduced to art. So make sure you present the information in such a, I would say, humble and a very relatable way so that they fall in love and they get engaged for life. So I think this has been because it's happened with me. To find it very intimidating. Oh my God, you don't have to understand anything. Just go there. And now the beauty about art is, you can be a collector, but there's also the meditative aspect of art. It brings a lot of joy, calm. Even I see your artworks, there's so much joy, beauty, calm, serenity. So it heals.
Yeah.
So art really heals.
It does. For me too, I think it's more of a therapy.
It is. I'm looking at you, like when I'm talking to you, but I'm also looking at artworks. And it's so healing. I find artworks very healing.
Yeah.
And museum spaces or galleries, when you are at one with the artwork, you're just sitting there and...
Yeah.
Looking at the artwork, there is this silent communication going on and there is a meditative process. You're engaging with it. And I think that's the other side of artwork. So it's not just the business of course it's there, but not to be intimidated by it. And it's very beautiful. It brings you, it heals you. And it's, when it's there, it's a part of your life, basically.
Yeah. Also one more question. It has changed over time.
Yeah.
But the business of art or, for somebody to want to become an artist was a taboo. It has changed and it's changing and parents are starting to support. But for those who still think that there is a very, how do I say it? It's unstable, for parents to think that my child, if takes up art as a profession, it's very unstable for them. Do you have any message for them?
I know a lot of some artist friends of mine, they're like, they've got a regular job and they're artists by which I think in the beginning, of course you can do that. You don't have to, you don't have to be an artist 24 hours a day. You can, I know a lot of friends who are in advertising and art. It's in, and it's absolutely fine, But I do feel, because they felt that they could not support themselves initially. They needed a 9-to-5 job, and also like in the field of advertising, they were graphic artists. So it was related. It was not something which was completely different from their true passion. But now I do feel like, some of our artists, they're into acting, into theatre and art. So there is a synergy, the creative fields. Yeah. And I think one kind of balances the other.
I think what I hear is that you should have a backup. You can't go full-fledged practically.
If you don't have the option, I think you should have a backup also. And also, I think it kind of balances. It gives you more of a holistic experience in life. If you're like, you can always paint for 5-6 hours whenever you can during the weekends. But I think, also, but one thing is there are a lot more options now. You can start selling your work. You can start, as I said, with technology. You can still actually you're a full-time artist because you're doing your day-to-day job, but you're also promoting and selling your artworks on Instagram. Twitch. So actually, you are an you are an active artist, though you're working also at some other job.
Understood.
I would recommend it initially because I think it's you have to be practical also.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this is such a practical advice and you didn't ask them to be daydreaming and assume that, everything is going to be rosy. So, thank you. I think this was such a great chat and thank you for the information that you shared with us today.
I hope it helped.
And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
You're most welcome and thank you for inviting me. I really enjoyed that conversation.
Thank you.